Hello everyone, Flip a Coin here, and welcome back to Nexus Chatter. Today, we're here with Paul Jovanovic from Chair League. Paul, thanks for being here.
Thanks for pronouncing my name right.
Happy to.
Feels good.
Yeah, so I'd figure. So, we'll start off strong. Paul, who are you? What is Chair League? Tell us a little bit about all that.
Sure. So, developer, one-man show, Chair League. So Chair League, if you don't know by now, is a recreational esports league, specifically in the Heroes of the Storm community. And what Chair League offers is everybody the opportunity to be feeling like they're a pro gamer. You could be any skill level, live anywhere in the world. Well, I guess only the United States at this time, but you could live anywhere in the United States and maybe Canada too, whatever the time zone is. And you can get games played weekly, scheduled for you, and get a caster assigned to that. And the great thing about Chair League is it lets you get feedback on your gameplay. So the whole point of Chair League is to become a better gamer and have fun doing it. And if we can do that with a positive attitude, then I think the first two things are going to be very easy for you to do.
Cool. So, what inspired the development of Chair League? I know you've already said a little bit about, the ultimate goals of it, but how to get started and how long was the development process for the initial launch?
Sure. So I approached this project differently than I've ever approached it before. I was working, well, actually, no, I guess I was playing Heroes of the Storm with my friends, and at some point I was just sitting there feeling like, yo, I don't know anybody besides you five people in this game. Like, I know no one. I didn't even find out that there were chat channels in this game until I made Chair League, and someone was like, oh, make a Chair League channel. Like, that's weird. And the difference between StarCraft and Heroes of the Storm is, like, you actually can see, like, people. You can actually see a name out there. Like, I have no way of knowing who's out there. I have no way of messaging people who aren't my friends. I have no contact with anyone. So if it wasn't Chair League, it would have been some other kind of community tool, but at the same time, I liked playing the game, so I wanted to create something that we could play with me and my friends and find other random people to play with. So the original goal was to create a site like that worked for, I don't know, 20 people. I was like, okay, that'd be really cool. It could be like a round robin for 8 weeks between 4 different teams. How cool is that, And so in order to do that, what I did is, and this is why I say I approached it differently, is because usually in my brain I think, oh man, I could create this insane thing that's like the scale of Google. Let's create Google, And then I go and try to do that. And I go in a cave for a month, and I come out with a beard, although I can't grow anything past here. I come out with this straight goatee, and then no one uses it. So I just throw the project away. But this time I kind of was thinking, let's just see if there's other people like me feeling that way. And let's create a thing that just allows you to create teams. So the first page ever on Chair League was just, here's some teams, join some teams. So you could create a team. All you do is say what name you want to create. You create it. Then people are allowed to see your team. You can advertise your team as far as like we're recruiting, and you get to write a little message about that. And then people they apply to join your team, and you accept them and whatnot. And I think that started I always say that the day was December 8th, but I actually don't remember when it started and when was the first time I actually started working on it, but I'm pretty sure it was December 8th, and in 3 days I already had the Teams thing working. And then that's December 11th is when I posted the original Reddit post, and I remember I wrote up this entire long thing about it, just like, this is how I'm feeling. I wonder if anyone else is feeling this way. Like, if you are, I really think Chair League's the place for you to go, because I just feel so lonely when playing Heroes of the Storm. And I know there's people out there, and I want to bring back gaming to, like, real humans. Like, back to that feeling. I could go and talk about my Final Fantasy 11 days, how I met many people in the game, and they have way less technology than Heroes of the Storm does, But why did I meet people through there? And even in World of Warcraft, I met people. But now you don't, because of the features like Quick Match and Quick Dungeon and Quick Raid. Like, you don't meet those people. You don't.
Yeah, way less social.
Yeah, way less social. So, sorry, I ramble. But I go back to my point is I launched it, I guess, December 11th with the first post to Reddit. And I remember 30 minutes had gone by. I wrote this entire paragraph, too long, right? And my friend comes to me and he goes, usually on Reddit, because I've never used Reddit before, usually on Reddit you have to put like TLDR, I'm like, okay, can you do that for me? I don't know what that is. And he like puts TLDR in one sentence explaining the 4 paragraphs I wrote. 30 minutes go by and like nothing happened yet. And I was like, man, Chair League, man, the dream could have happened. Then all of a sudden, there it goes. Lo and behold, the 1 user joined. I was flipping out. I was like punching the ceiling, and I'm like, I don't care. We're bringing this place down. I'm so excited. I've never had 1 user join before. That was sick. And then while I'm saying that sentence to my girlfriend, just like yelling at her, like, that's amazing. Then another one joins, and that's when I was just throwing tables over. I'm like, this is what's going on here. And by the end of the day, we got 20 people. And like, to me, as a developer, and for someone who's never had that success, even if that's not successful in people's book, but to get 20 people to join on the first day, I couldn't. I think I did cry. I think I did, because I'm very emotional. I really appreciate those type of things. So that's the story of Chair League's start, the December 11th.
That's cool. A very sincere start. It does sound.
Yeah.
And out of curiosity, do you happen to remember if there was any additional pop for the site after Solid Jake gave you a individual video plug? Because that was my introduction to the site. He made that whole like little 7 or 8 minute video just saying Chair League, that's the place you should be right now. Did that do well for the site? Yeah,
that did amazing. So the first day that Jake casted, I think, was January 18th, because the league started January 11th. And I think on January 11th there were 36 teams, and when Jake casted there was 72 teams, I think. I remember it was like doubling for a while, so I think 72 by the time Jake casted, and that's playing weekly. That's besides like the teams with 1 person on it. So 72 teams with 5 people minimum on it by the time Jake casted on that next Monday. And that day is our second, still, which is crazy, is our second highest day of traffic, is the day that Jake casted. And I think he made the video the Friday before. And even when you go back one Wednesday before that Friday was when it all started. And he had his Town Hall Heroes going on. And I remember them sitting in chat being like, or talking in the show, talking about if only there was a North American league out there that everybody could play in. And I was like, there is. It's called Chair League. And then that's like, I remember Rafflecopter. Shout out to Rafflecopter because he started that. He saw the quote there. I was writing like, there's Chair League in the chat. And then he's like, wait, guys, isn't there like Chair League or whatever? And then I was like, again, flipping tables. I think I threw my girlfriend up into the fan. I was so excited. So that was like the start of it. And then me and Jake had like an hour-and-a-half conversation after that with Skype, talking about what I want to do with Chair League. And he's like, dude, I'm totally going to support this. Here's a video. I was like, what? That's amazing. So then that video, followed by his involvement, I think really gave it even the extra boost to continue the momentum that we have today. So that all started like so fast, so early, and everything just kind of carried away from there.
Yeah, that's great. Really has been a strong launch so far. So with that said, you're currently the only staff that exists for Chair League, literally a one-man show. How do you manage now having over 100+ teams and counting competing weekly, as well as coordinating casters for all their games? You know, as Chair League continues to grow, how do you think this is going to impact your ability to manage the brand?
So currently there's 165 teams, and that's only the ones that are playing weekly. There's like 287. I'm throwing that number out there. I could look to my right and look at it, but I don't know. But
somewhere around there.
So there's 287 teams, which are potential teams that could join in the league at some time if they fill up their slots and queue up for the season. But with the 165, the biggest problem of the whole thing is scheduling. And there's absolutely no way that someone could go do that by hand. So I was lucky that I'm a developer, and I wrote a scheduling algorithm that takes all the slots of the day between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. Pacific and schedules all the teams in the best possible way that I can. And it goes so deep in the fact that it matters how many teams are at 7 p.m. or at 7:30. All those facts matter. And originally it started where everything was an hour block, and that didn't work out so well because there was all these, I think it was getting to like 14 games starting at one time slot, and I was like, oh my god, that's way too many people. And like the bottlenecks of how many casters do you need for that? Well, it's like, what's your biggest time slot, and how many do you have well, how many games are played in that time slot? Well, then that's your bottleneck. You have to have 14 casters for the day minimum because you need them 14 concurrently. So had I not written a little scheduling algorithm that made this possible, I don't think I would have had to lock the teams probably at like 10 because like
Yeah.
even it takes me like an hour to do the casters alone because the casters are a little bit more manual where I go through and I look at the games, I look at the ratings, I look at who's hot, who's casting on a Monday and Thursday, and people are also emailing me saying, oh, I can't cast this Thursday, I have a doctor's appointment or something. I'm like, and how could you program that into tech? Well, I don't even know. Like, I'd have to build this whole entire ecosystem for them to live in. But yeah, so it's hard, and you get emails all the time about this thing going wrong, that thing going wrong, or can I play a different day? And I think that's really where, in the future, that's the thing I'm going to have to fix. How can you get the best scheduled game to your time? And I think that'll be fixed in Season 2 where you don't have a Monday and Thursday game day. You have just a Monday, or you just have a Tuesday, or you just have a Wednesday type of deal. I haven't laid all those days out yet, so when I do that, I think people will know, oh, I'm only available Mondays, so I'm only going to play in the Monday league. Then I won't get those emails being, can we move to Thursday? Then it's like, okay, I solved that. That's like 100 less emails a week that I have to deal with,
Right.
So finding out what my weaknesses are as a one-man show and cutting those out are going to make it so that we can support 300 teams weekly. And that's like 150 matches in a week, and how many casters is that? That's another one I got to work on.
Ability to oversee the brand from like a business perspective, if that's accounted for. Does it get a little stressful in that regard? Because you are still growing this idea that is Chair League,
Yeah, it's a handcraft. I think that the tech side of it, I always am like aware when it's behind. And so I guess there will be like a week that I'm very tech heavy, and there's a week that I'm very business heavy. So like, I think last week I spent, it might have been like a week and a half ago. I don't even know what day it is today. I think today's like Monday, so there might be games tonight. But last week was on the last Thursday and Friday. Friday, Saturday. I spent the entire day, 16 hours, rewriting the algorithm to make it perfect. And I successfully did that because in my brain, when you look at how the schedules turned out from the weeks of the 15th and 18th of February, it's amazing. Like, you might not be able to see it as a person using the site, but it's so clean and bottleneck free. So I was so happy with that, and casting and scheduling casters was a dream. I was like, oh, that's amazing. It was so easy. So we have like 30 casters, and I think I only needed to use like 15 on the Monday and Thursdays. Like each day maybe just had 15 casters, which is amazing because that shows you like the bottlenecks are getting freed up as I improve in tech. So now now that I solved that problem, my next goals is to push the idea of the business, right? And what's going to be exciting for users, and how can I make it a better user experience? So I think that it's natural for business to follow the tech, or tech to follow the business plan. So now this week, I'm really drafting up what I want Season 2 to look like. What are the divisions? That's something that people have been asking since there's just this one big division right now. People are like, well, there's not really much for me that I'm fighting for unless I'm the top teams. But at the same time, you're playing in a division with everybody, so you kind of feel like that community. But I think we're going in a direction where I need to start planning how the division's going to work. How does someone get placed into a division? Is it by a placement round, or do they have to, do we take their scores that they currently have and bring that over to Season 2? It's going to be a mix and match of that. And so when I solve that problem, then I'm going to go towards the tech side again. Now that's where you see like this leapfrog pattern happening, that once I figure out what the business wants, then I go and build that out in the tech side of things.
A lot of all this discussion kind of leads back to, at Chair League's core, it's this kind of wonderful place for players, both amateur, common man, pro, to all kind of can join and play. So this, as we've talked about, has given the brand a lot of traction thus far. So do you have any plans to bring Chair League into the world of professional Heroes of the Storm esports? Are there any possibilities for a Chair League Invitational or something of that sort in the future?
There's no real exhibition matches or exhibition tournaments that I'm planning. That could be something like, Doritos Bowl or something. You create that just for hype, whatever. But what I think it's going towards is the idea of breaking these things up into divisions. So now my plan for season 2 is to have a pro division, which I'm going to self-proclaim pro division, followed by Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. And those are of varying skill levels, varying rules level. But the only thing that's unique between them, but I guess besides just standard, like who's in it and how does it play, is that the pro league or pro division is going to be locked to a certain amount of teams every season. Now that kind of mirrors what I think is, how organizations like MLB do it, where you have the MLB followed by the AAA, followed by the AA, followed by the single A. I don't know if there's a single A, but either way, it goes something.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Divisions of skill and professionalism accordingly.
Yeah, I don't know anything about sports, so I'm just like doing it off the cuff here, trying to pretend I know sports. But
got you.
And what you're asking, I think, goes into my mind of how I think esports is going the wrong direction a little bit. We're forgetting about how these professional organizations already exist and already function. I look at a lot of these things, and there isn't really one place to go. There isn't one place to go that that if I'm going to take baseball seriously, I know that my goal is MLB. Now, is it the MLG? Is it something else? It could be, but I don't feel that way, and I've never been told to feel that way. Just because MLG happens to sound like MLB, I'm not sold on it. So what I would love Cherry League to be is that place. Is it just for Heroes of the Storm? Right now it is, but I would love that if you want to be playing Heroes of the Storm, that there's only one place to go, and that place is Cherry League. And I think it's an accomplishable goal. And I'm going to do everything in my power to push towards that way of doing the MLB style of MLB is where the pros are, the AAA is where the people who are fighting for the pros are, and after every season, the worst 2 teams or the ones who didn't do the best in the Pro League get relegated to the AAA or what I'm calling the Division 1. And the best 2 teams in the Division 1 are fighting for the slot to get moved up to the Pro League. So there's like that competition going on, and how's that going to affect the whole scene of things? Are people really going to take into that? Are people going to try their darndest to win Division 1 so they can be called the pro Cherry League, champions and whatnot? So I think that's going to happen, and I'm looking forward to that. Season 2 is going to blow everything out of the water. I think that's when Cherry Leagues just go, oh, there we go.
That's when it's a hit then.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it's huge.
Yeah,
that's cool. Kind of a follow-up on that. A big part of esports, of course, is the incentive of prize money. Are you looking for any sponsorships opportunities to kind of wave some money at that Division 1 or highest division spot to increase their incentive to win?
Yeah, people hate me, and I'm going to stick to it. I will never make a prize pool for Cherry League. Never going to do it, and I am going to stick to that until I die. Even if someone comes to me and is like, we will make Cherry League the biggest success, even if you make it like a $1 prize pool. I will not do it. I will 100% never do it, because you are taking away what gaming is for us. Gaming is fun. That's why we started. No one started playing
looking for money.
No one started doing that. Never.
Hopefully, at least. Fingers crossed.
And people will cuss me out. People yell at me all the time saying, you're so stupid. Maybe I'm stupid. But I know why I started playing video games, and that's to play. That's to play, to compete, to win. And I think when you flash the money, it looks like that's a success, right? So you see these $4 million prize pools, which when you actually divvy it up, it's not $4 million of prize pool. Far from. But when you see these $4 million of prize pool, it's just a marketing ploy. And I think that when you look at that, you then have to look at is the organization run well? Does winning the tournament that $4 million, does that mean anything? Does that show that you are the champions? I don't think it does. I think it just means you maybe made money. In any other business, it's your responsibility to make money for the thing you want to do. I think that it should be the team's responsibilities to make money for their teams. Is it them getting sponsors? Is it them doing exhibition matches? Is it them doing signings at the local GameStop? Those are things that pros do currently. In other sports. In other sports but esports. Because we have this idea that esports should be up to the people running, the game, right? People are telling me that I have no chance, with chair league because I'm going against millions of dollars of things. But hey, that's startup world, right? Like that's the reason you do startups, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like I think we're okay. But my point is, chair league may have rewards. It may have glory. It may have that Stanley Cup that you get to have in your gaming area, you know, your command center for a year at a time until next season, where you might have to give it up. You're the defending Stanley Cup champions. You know, that's what I'm playing for. That's what I'm making chair league for. And that, I think, is what's going to draw people to play, because it won't be about the money. You're already making, you know, six figures from playing in chair league if it's a big enough thing, because you get the sponsors, you get your name out there, and you'll figure that out, you know. And once that's the huge thing, it's the grassroots community of people also putting their efforts back into chair league, then like there's enough people there for there to be an automatic audience for any pro team just to harvest, you know. So I don't know, I'm pretty confident that if we can avoid money as prizes, I think in the end it's going to pay off in dividends.
That's cool. Very respectable stance on that.
Maybe I'm on a soapbox or something, but
no, I think you make some very good points for that, and frankly, it's something this scene kind of needs right now, because HOTS, pretty much since like its inception, as early as alpha, it's kind of had this whole like expectation of this linear esports process for it. From its inception, it's like, what major organizations are going to get in there? What's the money going to be like? What's the prize money going to be like? People are plotting their careers as early as before the game was even live as a full client, you know? So I think this is a step in the right direction, going back to the grassroots of glory and victory being what we're playing for, proving you're the best.
That's what I'm talking about. And the other thing, and I will use this to my dying breath, there's no winning money from NHL. There's no winning money from the MLB, NBA. Name a sports organization that's like, and this year we're giving away $20 million to the top team. Like, the team looks
it's all in the salaries of the actual players.
That's how it works. Like, it's already a proven model. Why aren't we following it? And so,
exactly.
And you see teams just dropping like flies. Why is it? Because they don't win, and they don't have the backing of an actual business model that works. So how come every season there's like 10 new teams in it? It's because they'll drop next year. And why? Because there's no actual concrete foundation of that organization. But once there is, and once people start seeing, oh, I see, okay, that's how it works. And then you're going to see esports take off. And until then, it'll always be kind of like esports. It'll just be called esports, you know? It won't. There won't be that organization out there that you know. Like, oh, I go to chair league. Like, that's where you go. So, like, we're just waiting for that day. There has to be one unified organization out there that sets these rules and makes the business models. And that's my goal.
Cool. Very good stance on that.
Thanks.
Looking forward to the hopeful future for that goal.
I'm an optimist, so.
Yeah. Hey, optimism aside, I think it's something that could totally happen if people get on board with it, you know?
Yeah.
That's what it's going to come down to. But absolutely an admirable and good goal for this scene.
That's where it's going.
So, changing it up a little bit, how does a person become a caster for Chair League? As you said, you know, you have a bunch of casters kind of like being juggled around for all these games, peak hours, etc. Is there any consideration for quality before kind of giving them a casting gig? Like, naturally, there's going to be margins of experience caster to caster, so do you think about that depending on who you're, an example, dropping in what games?
Yeah, it's actually, it's so complicated on like 300 different levels, right? So when you look at the whole standings of the league, right, you get teams that go all the way to the top, and you get teams like my team that goes all the way to the bottom. Now, why would I want, you know, well, no, I mean, obviously there's an obvious want. Why would I want, like, Solid Jake to cast my 0-6 team, right? That's cool. Like, I get to get the cool points. But I guess why would Solid Jake, if you just looked at it on a practical level, want to cast the 0-6 team? Like, what's, you know, he's all the way up here. And
what's his incentive?
Yeah,
right?
What's his incentive? And why would we, you know, even want to be casted by the best of the best, besides the fact that that's cool? we're clearly not going to understand what he's even saying to us and how we can improve and whatever else he's saying.
Right.
So it's not as useful for us. So there is an actual need for a wide variety of casters, whether you're just getting into it, whether you're a solid Jake, or you've been doing it for a month, 2 months. So the only thing that's really I'm picky about as far as casting is like sound quality, video quality, and I think one of the biggest requirements is that you actually want to improve your casting. I don't want to improve my casting, for instance. I don't like casting. I hate it. Like, I just don't get it, and it doesn't go with my personality, and I don't feel like it's like I'm very good at conversational. Or if you put me on the soapbox and let me talk for 30 minutes, I can do that too. But casting is very like I have to like think about the audience and what do they want to hear? Do they want me to talk about what's going on in the fight right now, or would they rather me say something analytical or like talk about the map? So that's like too much for me.
Right.
And I don't have the camera on me. I don't have green screens. I don't have any of that, and I don't ever plan to. So for me, another requirement is trying to improve that. And if you're trying to improve your casting by doing those high-tech things, awesome. Get in here. Get in Chair League. Start casting. Send me an email. That's the process. You send me an email. I do a little bit of like an interview to you, and then you can get casting the next week. That's pretty much the whole process.
That's good to hear for anyone who might be interested in getting their casting start. It's a conversation I see a lot on Reddit too. A lot of people kind of get in these little threads about, what is it to be a caster? How do you get started? Because a lot of the time it feels like, especially in terms of the big names, they've had their feet planted in the scene for so long. It's hard to think about yourself in that seat,
Yeah.
But Chair League's a great opportunity for just as many players who want to play, casters who want to get started with that.
It's actually kind of funny. I never meant it to be a caster incubator. The idea was a player incubator where you get placed in competitive games all week long, varying skill levels, but it matches yours, right? And then it's also a caster incubator. So
yeah,
now
that's what it's kind of turned into.
So it's like funny because people are getting better casting. People are asking for my logo, put it on like their screen and stuff like that. People are like diving into it like feet first, head first, or whatever the expression is. So it's like really cool. I didn't expect that, and I'm happy that people like to cast. Like it's cool, and the viewerships is actually pretty astounding. There are people who have never casted before in their life. Me, let's tell my story. I've never casted, never even streamed in my life. First game I ever did, 32 viewers. Like, yeah, you can't get that anywhere. You can't just turn on your OBS and be like, oh, 32 people are.
Yeah.
So Chair League has this audience of, over 2,600 people that are just like, oh, a game's going on, and it happens to be your game, and it happens to be two teams that I've been following. I'm going to watch that regardless of caster. So it's cool that we can, like, one, be a content creator as well as fueling people to watch that content.
Wanted to talk a little bit about a recent announcement you made on Reddit, and that was that Chair League would be switching over from using Heroes Draft to instead using Top Drafter. Heroes Draft has been standard for a very long time. So with that said, do you wish to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I would love to. Okay, so week 2, I think in our early days we had too many games going on at once. I think we had like 9 games on week 2 start at like 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. Pacific, right? And this was before I even made it to like you could be a 6 o'clock team and you could be a 6:30 team. Once I did that, life was nice again. But we had 9 games starting, and all of a sudden the drafts go out. And 9 drafts are going out simultaneously, and I'm just getting my inbox is blowing up. I'm on .net. People are posting to me saying, nobody picked Gazlo, but he showed up, and they're like, what's going on? Like,
yeah.
I clicked Artanis, and it came up as Lenara. Can someone explain, So we crashed the site, or whatever. We ate up all their, I guess their web sockets. We ate them all up. So like
right.
we were getting other users' clicks onto our draft, and we're like, oh my god, what can we do here? So that's when 6:30 start times were invented. But from seeing that, a developer from San Francisco, he was like, okay, I think I can do something with this. And he built Top Drafter. And he, I think like 3 weeks later came to me and was like, hey man, I got a new draft tool. Do you want to use it? And I was like, hey man, like it's super hard to switch from what people call like the standard, and if it's not broke, don't fix it, minus the lag. I'll forgive it for the lag. It's still a good tool. And he's like, oh, okay. And then I go, wait a second. Do you have an API? And for those who aren't developers, an API allows me to talk to, like Chair League, to talk to Top Drafter, and maybe vice versa, where Top Drafter could talk to my server, my tech. So he goes, yes, I have an API. Here's the documentation. I blew my head off. I was like, yes. Oh my god, this just happened like Monday night. I think I was like watching the games, and that's when he responded, being like, oh yeah, we have an API. I was like, what? Get on Skype right now. We need to talk about something. And like we're like talking back and forth, getting so excited about what's happening. We're, yeah. Okay, you have the API. What do I get when I do this? What do I get when I do that? And that's where we invented the whole the Twitter thing that started on Thursday. I don't know if you see that, but now when games are starting, you get like this idea of when it starts, it tweets the link to Top Drafter. Now people can go to Top Drafter and watch the live draft going on. Then when the draft finishes, it generates an image, and then we post it to Twitter. So now it's like, to me, it's the first time that, like, and it like makes me kind of like just speechless as I can tell you, because video games are technology. How are we been playing video games without technology for so long? Like, such an easy idea. You take an image and you post it to Twitter saying, this is a draft playing at twitch.tv, /Cavalier guest. Like, that's such a simple idea, And we did that last night, and viewers just were going skyrocket high, like all new heights. So I was like, there you go. We're in the future.
Yep.
we're hitting it.
Future is now.
And so there's so much more that like I want to do. And as an early sneak peek to what's going to happen Monday is, people are complaining, well, Stitches is banned, because of the lag. But we have no way of really controlling that. They can still pick Stitches in the Top Drafter. So adding to like the integration between Chair League and Top Drafter is now we're going to be sending over to them saying, when you generate this draft, don't have Stitches be pickable. So he might be grayed out right when you get there. And now this is useful to control that flow of people who, like when Li Ming was out, people were like, is Li Ming banned? Well, we'd let the tool tell you. So when you get there, Li Ming can't be picked. You're like, oh, got it. Li Ming's banned because it's the 2-week grace period type of deal. And that stuff's exciting to me, because that is the first time I feel that we're putting technology to actual work. Like, oh, Stitches is banned this week. And on the admin side of things, when all these casters are generating the drafts, before they'd have to go to heroesdraft.com and type in all this information. What map is it? The hero, or what teams there are, what's the tournament name, and how many bans, and who picks first, and all that stuff. But now they click this button, it just goes, start draft, and they go, huh, what'd that do? Page refreshes, there's all their links. They're like, oh, send, done. And like, we could even automate that to the point that Stitches is already included. I send over to Top Drafter saying, hey, Stitches is banned, man. Don't let them pick Stitches. And Top Drafter goes, sounds good to me. I'm not going to let Stitches be picked. Draft links come back, and no teams can pick Stitches. And I'm just like, that's perfect.
Perfect. Literally perfect. That's great.
So I'm just so excited for that. Like, that's going to happen Monday, and that's just cool stuff.
That's great. It's so cool to see that kind of tech in the game. Any thoughts on, and this is just a thing that popped right into my head when we're talking about you being able to kind of like control the draft process, but any thoughts on ever doing, kind of more so for fun, varying kind of like draft formats? Like an example, a brief league where you can just, only X heroes in the pool are playable, or only X heroes in this role. Kind of more fun, just casual stuff.
Yeah, I think that, that is something possible. Is it something that Chair League will ever have a league that's completely like pick your opponent's heroes? I haven't thought that far ahead. Don't know. Right. It would be interesting, right? But there is, I think, there is that Scrim tool, and maybe that could be a feature. Like, oh, it's a for fun Scrim. So you pick your opponent's heroes. Hooray, Scrim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that could be something.
Yeah. And that's actually a perfect segue into what I wanted to ask next.
Sweet.
You recently implicated said scrimming tool into the website.
Yeah.
Has there been a lot of usage? Because whether your team's amateur or professional, scrims are really important because they're kind of the non-actual matchmaking environment to see competitive, reflective play, Yeah. You're not going to get that in a game of quick match, but in scrims, you have more organized, win-driven play.
Yeah, so The Scrim tool started because I have a forum, right? And the whole time that I had this forum, people were just posting Scrim. Hey, Scrim. Hey, Scrim, Scrim. Hey, Scrim, 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 Scrim. I'm like, okay, guys, like, this isn't what the forum's for, you know? So I decided just to build a quick Scrim tool. It happens the exact same way that matches work today, right? So you now can create a Scrim, you set a time, and you just leave it up there. And when it's up there, people can go, oh, cool, dude, there's a match next Wednesday that is at 4 p.m. that we can play in. And this team is rated closely to ours, so let's verse them. You can apply to the Scrim. Then when you're, you know, in the Scrim, the guy can look at you, and you guys get to message back and forth, maybe like, hey, what are we trying to do, you know? Oh, yeah, you know, I noticed you picked Cursed Hollow. Like, that's really cool. That's a map we want to play, since that's, like, the next week's map. Like, can we do that? And you talk back and forth, and the other team who hosted the Scrim can accept you. And when it's accepted, you get an email, and it's like, hooray, you're scrimming next week on Wednesday. How exciting, you know? Then you can manage that in your actual account settings, where you can go to your team, look at your matches upcoming. So it fits just perfectly into the system as far as like league matches, because when you go to your upcoming matches, you can see your league matches coming up. When you go and watch them, you see who you're versing, you see who's signed up versing you, and you're like, that's pretty cool. But then when you're viewing a Scrim, you can now actually control it. So you're joining the Scrim, and you can also say start round one. And when round one starts, you get to, you know, pick a winner. So if it's a best of three, you can go, you know, round one we won, round two we won. Oh, there's no round three because we already won the first two. Right. So it's like a full featured thing. You know, pretty much the exact same that tools that the admins have as far as controlling these matches. So you get the same things, and you can do best of one, best of three type of deals. And as far as usage has gone, I think there's a bunch. I think there's a lot of matches scheduled, and I think that they do play because you'll see them disappear from the Scrim page, and there's only two ways that they can disappear: is if, oh, we found our match, or two, the time goes by. And I know my team's played in 3 Scrims, so I think it's popular. I would hope it would become more popular, and it could be something that even pros could come in with their pseudo team names at least if they want to use it. It's private information. No one sees that the Scrim's happening, but it's another way to schedule it.
Right, a more formal scrimming process.
Yeah, exactly, and you get to control it. You get to really say, like, we won. And with the introduction to Top Drafter, now your Scrims are going to be able to just go, here's the draft links, everybody. Click. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
We already have that built into the site. I just have to put it into matches, which I haven't had time to do yet, or to the Scrim matches. And once that's done, then it's just going to be a fun time for everybody.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great to hear. So, the next thing I kind of wanted to talk about, and it's been mentioned a little bit throughout this interview thus far, but a more focused approach on it. Chair League is kind of this utopian setting, you know. It's about as far from the in-game matchmaking process as possible right now, which is, in my opinion, great. And the thing is, the HOTS community right now, the HOTS community at large at least, seems to have a lot of toxicity attached to it. And this kind of exists in any scene, any gaming community. That's nothing new. But there's like an increased amount of animosity that has spawned out of player discontent with matchmaking. So in your personal opinion, do you think that animosity and the bad attitudes will all improve as the matchmaking system improves? And also, do you think an improved matchmaking experience would negatively affect Chair League and its popularity? Because I know a lot of people are running to Chair League as this escape from all that, you know?
And I hope they do, because I won't allow it. I won't allow that toxicity to exist. Like, I've already had to talk to 2 people who, for some reason, drunk message each other at night. You know, and
right.
I don't know why you're doing that on Chair League, but, you know, that's not okay. And to answer the question as far as, do I think matchmaking is ever going to compete in the fact of, like, positivity? No, never, not even close. Let me give you just one fact to let you know why this will never affect the positivity Chair League has. You don't have an all chat and quick match. Throw the mic down. Just throw the mic down. You don't have an all chat and quick match. Do you know what that means? That means that it's so bad of a community that the negativity between teams can't even be there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Instead of fixing it at the source, you're fixing it just fuck it. That's not a feature. You guys can't talk to each other.
Yeah, it's like a fucked up Band-Aid.
That's like your mom telling two kids, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say it at all. It's like, no.
And that turns into players like ragging on each other instead. If they can't get pissed at the enemy team, they get pissed at each other.
Now it's on me. I'm playing against Falstead today. People just start yelling at me. I'm like, dude, I really don't care. Like, this doesn't affect my day. I'm just Qing, W, and E in people all day. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So the answer to that is I'm going to continue to push Chair League in a way that will always breed positivity. And when we find out negativity, I want to talk to those people. I'll be like, hey, man, do you think this is helping the game? Do you think this is helping Chair League? Do you think this is helping the community? Do you think that the negativity coming from you is actually helping anybody? And if anything, I'm just going to link them to go watch Ghostbusters and go, look, you're making all this toxic sludge onto the city. Like, we got to solve that.
You're responsible for this.
Yeah, it's on to the people. And I think that that's one thing that games are doing poorly is making it not about the people and instead being like, no, that just doesn't exist because you guys can't handle it. We're taking it away from you. And I think gaming needs a lot of help. And I hope Chair League, if nothing else, can help bring positivity into gaming again. Because I love people. I love meeting people. I love talking to people. But in the game like today, you know, I'm just a regular person, not a professional player, playing a game, and I'm getting yelled at. You know, and that hurts just because it's like, yo, man, I just want to have fun as much as you do. You know, and if you want to play competitively, I'm pretty sure that quick match isn't the place. Is it because you don't want to hurt your rank 1? Well, hey, man, you're not good enough to hold a rank 1. Maybe that's why you're afraid of losing it. You know, so it's just like, you know, I think there's solutions out there, and I think it always comes from the top down, right? Like making sure that everybody's positive. You know, if I'm positive and not saying bad things about people, how does that make everybody else feel? And it seems to be working because like people on Reddit will be like, fuck yeah, dude, like positivity, you know? Mm-hmm. And then we're watching like even every night, it always happens, like in the Twitch chat, someone will just want to be a negative Nancy, and like the community calls them out on it. And I like that. Like I hope that continues to happen where, you know, someone just complains the whole time and someone goes, hey, is that really helping? Are you really providing any use in that comment? You know, just bashing on the casters, what does that do? Well, that maybe would do is make him not want to cast again, and then you have no game to watch. It's just like the dislike button on YouTube. If you don't like a YouTube video, go to another one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like, I don't know. Negativity makes no sense to me. Like, there's just no reason. Your life is so great. Just live it positively. And I believe in karma and good things happen to good people. So just be good. You know? Are you negative because bad things happen to you? Well, it's an endless cycle at that point, you know?
Yeah. It's got to keep breeding more bad things.
Yeah, exactly. So you just got to... I think that the approach that matchmaking is taking isn't the correct one. I think it literally should just be fixing the cause. Why are people negative? You know?
Right.
Fix that. And even if they match you to perfect... Exactly. Let's go in the utopian world, like you said. You matched perfectly. Like, you guys are the exact same players on all levels. If you're a negative person, you're going to call people out for losing. That's just who you are. Doesn't matter if they're the exact same skill level as you. You know, it just doesn't matter. So
yeah.
Solving why someone chooses to do that is better than fixing matchmaking.
Well put. So we got one more question before we wrap this up. And that is the classic, what's the long-term plan for Chair League, if any? Where do you hope for the website to be, you know, a year down the line? Where do you want it to be a couple of years down the line?
Right on. Well, I already told you about the MLB spoiler. That's where I'm pushing it real hardly in that direction. I think Season 2 is going to show that. You know, you're going to see the divisions start popping up, and the fact that one's called Pro League, you know, or Pro Division is going to kind of poke your brain a little bit. You're like, all right, I'm starting to see where this guy's going. He's not so crazy after all. And then, you know, having that, just really emphasizing positive competition between, you know, fighting your way to the top of Division 1, getting promoted to Pro League. You know, that's where I really want to push things. I could picture a world where Chair League is completely MLB style, you know. I've never said this on anything, but I feel comfortable enough to say it right now. You know, I plan one day to start some teams from Chair League, you know, and how many teams do I plan? Well, upwards of 32 teams. And just to bring out some hype about what the future of Chair League looks like. I already own LosAngelesLegion.com, and you guys can connect the dots from there. And I think that when teams start tying to reality, I think that's the only way we're going to be able to have an MLB in esports. And
Cool.
so the future is changing the way how people view
Yeah.
esports. And here's I'm just going to tell a story because it's going to just go right in some people's brains, because it goes back to why people think I need to offer money to the league,
Mhm.
So I live in Los Angeles. I don't like basketball, you know, but I have been to multiple Los Angeles Clippers games. And that's just my little tease to what the future of Chair League looks like. That's all I'll say. just
So, just want to clearly err on something. European scene is huge, like really huge. I remember alpha beta days. There was a point where there'd be like less than 20 teams competing in North America, and Europe would have like 70 teams competing every week, and just like the random cups and whatever.
right.
With that said, big scene. Will there be a European chair league? When's it coming, if ever?
So I'll tell you right now, it's not on the roadmap. I really want to master what's here in North America first before I even consider branching something out to EU. I agree that it's not like a opinion, but there's a ton of people in EU. I get asked every single day. Every single day I get asked, and I just don't think it's on the roadmap, and I want to solidify Chair League's place in North America as the place to go to play and get better and have fun gaming. And once it's that is the only time I'll consider going to EU. If that day never happens, I'll tell you right now, EU will never happen. But if that day does come, then it's looking pretty good that one day there could be an EU Chair League at the same size and capacity that whatever North American Chair League looks like at that time. But like I'm telling you, there's huge plans for North American the Chair League scene, and I want to master those first before I even open up the can of worms that is EU.
Right. Crazy stuff. We're looking at the future right here, ladies and gentlemen.
You heard it here first.
Yep, you heard it here first. Innovation on the rise.
Yeah.
Change is on the rise, and that is very exciting to hear. Awesome. So, to conclude, you have any closing thoughts for us? Any shout-outs, announcements, acknowledgments? The floor is yours right now.
Yeah, I just want to say to the millions of you watching right now, I just want to say that esports will never happen if we're negative. Will never happen. And until we change that attitude of bashing your teammates, you'll always be stuck bashing your teammates and wishing esports was bigger. And I literally, you can go to Reddit right now and look. Why is the esports scene not big? I'm telling you, right this second, there is 2 posts on there right now saying,
if not more.
if not more, I know so. I was just on them, and they're saying, why is there not enough esports related to Heroes of the Storm? I know the problem. It's negativity. Once we fix negativity and once we go for positive gaming and everybody focusing on bettering themselves at gaming and being positive while doing it and having fun, which is the number one thing you should be worried about while gaming, because it always was, when you concentrate on those things, esports is going to be huge. But until we can fix why there's no all chat in your games, I'm telling you, esports will never be a thing. I'm telling you, I'm so certain on that until we fix why that is, why was there remember that Gamergate thing, people telling people to kill each other, that is why esports will never be a thing. I'm telling you right now, if that continues to happen, a Chair League will fail just because of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if Chair League can be the place breeding positivity and pushing forward in that direction, success. Boom. Success right there. If everybody who joins Chair League has the same mentality of being in that utopia, playing games for the original reason why we were playing games, it's going to go far. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
So that's my speech for the end, but I also would like to take this time to thank a lot of people. I want to thank all the casters. I'm not going to name any names because I can't name all 32 off the top of my head, so I'm just going to leave it as everybody. I want to thank all support. People have given Chair League through all this time. Every tweet matters, every like on Reddit is huge. Like getting to that top 3, top 2 spots, like that's amazing. You know,
Yeah.
I want to thank all the people who are actually playing in it, making it possible, and I also want to thank everybody who is staying out there, being positive, and pushing forward to having more fun gaming. You know, that's the whole goal here, guys. Have more fun gaming.
Awesome. And as said previously, a great goal and something that I think Hotch needs probably more than anything right now.
I agree. I mean, every game needs it. You know, even like FIFA. I could imagine FIFA's pretty bad.
FIFA must be the most negative of them all.
Yeah, my roommate plays it downstairs, and he's like, "Look, that guy!" Like, what? No, he's like, he's better than you, you know. And that needs to be removed too. Like when I remember in my WoW Arena days, like I'd lose, and my partner would be like, "Those guys are so bad." It's like they beat us though. Like they're better than us.
Yeah.
If we lost to someone who's bad, are we worse?
It's like this whole fragile ego thing.
Yeah, it's just like throw away your e-pins or whatever, store them away. I don't know what you do with them, you know, and just come back to the original reasons why we all played games.
All right, Paul, thank you so much for being here. This was great. Really appreciate it. Remember, guys, Chair League, check it out. Go play, get involved, start casting, do something, be a part of this. You know, better to hop on that first wave, be an OG.
Yeah. It's like the Counter-Strike. You have a 5-dig?
Yeah.
Get in before the 10,000 mark.
Exactly.
Although I guess that's still 5. Guys, I'm not that bad at math. Get in before the 100,000 mark.
Yeah. Be that original guy.
Yeah.
Get those nice little OG credits in there.
That'd be sweet.
Yep. So for more Heroes of the Storm content going forward, whether it be patch analysis, esports interviews, etc., be sure to hit that subscribe button. It's been Flip a Coin. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.